Xin chào everybody, my name is Viet and welcome back to week 5 of my training series. As you may notice, I am not at Rise Climbing, and in this week's video I went to 4 different gyms. And though that might sound quite paradoxical compared to last week's video where I was solely at Rise Climbing, the inspiration for this video was that there was a new gym opening up in Zone 1 London, and it was a Japanese owned gym called Climbing Gym Sen, and I wanted to dedicate a whole week to just trying out new gyms and exploring new routing. So as you can see on screen, I'm climbing some of the easier stuff at Aldgate City Bouldering. This is a gym which is a branch. There's one in Stratford and I think another one in White City. I've only gone to the one in Stratford, so it was quite nice to come to this location. For me, the identity and the route setting at City Bouldering is so new style and really comp orientated, and the holds are really fresh and they're really nice big macros. So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to Aldgate on Monday. As you can see, I'm just trying some of the V4s, and I feel like when I'm going to a new gym, especially if I'm going to judge it to see if I want to go back there again, I shouldn't just be trying the things at my limit, like just trying the V5s and the V6s and those harder climbs, because obviously I need to try get a sense of the general route setting of the gym. And one thing I noticed at Aldgate was that, especially this middle island section, it was very vertical and it was barely overhanging. There was a tiny section of overhangs, but it was mostly just balancy slabs. And even though that's one of the styles that I don't really prefer, the route setting and also the use of new holds was really inspired me to actually climb vert for once. But anyways, enough of vert climbing. This V5, I think the holds that are used are called Morpho or something like that, and they're just flat straight edges. They're quite deep, but yeah, I've never climbed anything in this style, so I definitely wanted to try it. I think there's a much easier method, but I couldn't really figure out if I had to bump my my left heel up, so I just went for a more powerful method, which you'll see now. But yeah, just to preface, the upcoming gyms in this video will be Sen Climbing, as I mentioned, Vauxhall East, which is part of the London Climbing Centre's organization. I've gone to Vauxhall West and a couple others, but I haven't gone to East. And then finally Muro Climbing, which is also a Japanese inspired gym in Peckham, of all places. So yeah, you see that I did the V5. I think it was quite a good set. Definitely new holds that I've never tried and setting that I've never experienced before. And that's one of the things that really motivated me to keep climbing this week, because I wanted to just explore new gyms and understand different route settings, but also to experience new holds, especially these big macros, which Aldgate City Bouldering has plenty of. Another thing that you might notice is that I'm trying some of the easier climbs, such as this V3 Blue. It was definitely my style, just nice pinches and fairly comfortable positions. But again, one of the main reasons why I wanted to climb at so many gyms was to feel the new holds and different range of holds. Because at Rise Climbing, even though there's a good abundance of holds, it's typically the same holds that I used over and over in new sets. So yeah, for example, even this V2 at Allgate is like fairly straightforward. The holds are really quite different from what I'm used to, like these big like balls, and again the use of the morpho holds. It's really good, I think, to experience a range of holds and like learn moves and body positions so that you can apply it to like future scenarios which you may not have encountered if you've never tried them before. For example, I didn't actually manage to get onto the crazy pink climb that you see next to this V3 that I'm doing, but like just looking at it is so like crazy. Like, but yeah, one thing I really liked from Allgate was the aesthetics of the holds and the route it's saying. It really matched like the theme and the atmosphere that city bouldering always like wants to portray. And I think this is the city bouldering climb. Like if I could pick one climb to be the face of a bouldering gym, it would be this purple V5 for Allgate city bouldering. It's really nice, like comfortable positions, but like fairly dynamic if you make it dynamic, that is. And like one thing that the gym loves to do is like once you go for a move with one arm, it always forces you to go and flip your other arm, as you saw in the middle sequence of that V5. But yeah, normally I'd skip these sort of climbs like the V4s, especially if it's slab. But when I first came to Allgate, I had no idea there was a second section of bouldering. So I spent like a good hour and a half just doing boulders here. And another thing, which I didn't manage to get onto because it was quite busy, there is a kilter board at this gym, and also like a really big gym area with like a treadmill and everything. So even though I did like brainstorm this video to be like oh, what's the best climbing gym in London, or like objectively the best, I don't think that's actually ever possible, because everyone's training plan and like everyone's goals in climbing is obviously very personal and very subjective. So for me, if I don't see a point in like having a treadmill at a gym, or if I prefer a moon board over a kilter board, then obviously I would rank like this gym slightly worse. So rather than doing best gyms, I wanted to just discuss about my favorite gyms, which I think is a better use of my time. I feel like Allgate is really comfortable. It's quite predictable, but the route setting is really nice. Here there's a really like good range of training, which is always really good. And here is the second section. This orange V2, even though it looks quite basic, it was a really nice climb, and you can see like a bonus point for the big massive windows in the background of the video. Something I really like and would rate gyms on is having a really like key identity that they're going for. And like, for example, like even things such as the colors of the wall or the colors of the mat, even, it really just like makes the gym stand out. And like, I remember the first time I went to, I think it's called Reach Climbing in Charlton. Firstly, it's mostly a lead and like top rope gym, so I was really quite out of my league. And for context, this was like the first couple of weeks of me ever climbing, so that in itself was very intimidating. But then also just going to the bouldering section, it was quite gloomy, and like after going there once, I was definitely not motivated to go back. But then comparing that to Allgate, climbs such as this yellow V6, it really motivates me and like pushes me to want to come back and try these really fun moves in a really nice location, really nice like gym atmosphere. I don't think there's any like big glaring like negatives about this gym, apart from probably the price. But then again, if you think about it, the reason why gyms such as Allgate are so expensive is that it's paying for 3 different gyms compared to Rise Climbing, which is obviously an independent gym. And also like the facilities at hand. For example, the aforementioned kilter board, or like just in general bigger space. But yeah, if I had to rate Allgate, I think I would place it slightly higher than Stratford. Probably like a solid 8 out of 10 for sure. And I would definitely recommend to come back here and like keep trying the boulders which were like in my range but like slightly projecty, I'd say. Speaking of projecting, on Wednesday I went to the Japanese new gym in central London, and yeah, they did their grading in tape color, and yeah, you can see it's quite a small location, but there's like a bunch of hard climbs. It's like a dream for like trying hard. And something that I wanted to pick up on, while I was climbing, I was falling a lot, you know. And one of my friends was like, "You're setting yourself up for failure." And that's something which I think is completely wrong, even though I get his sentiment and his reasoning. But the reason why I tried these really hard boulders, which I sort of knew was out of my reach, well, firstly, it was obviously to try all the boulders, experience the route setting and how harsh it is. Especially because you hear so much buzz about like Japanese setting, but also just getting FOMO off like Instagram reels, like these guys like sending these super hard overhang Japanese style climbs. But the main point is, by falling, you're really just learning techniques. Like here, I'm learning this like neat little bicycle. And even though I don't send boulders, which you know is the big shiny trophy of all bouldering sessions, for me, I feel like if you really understand the micro improvements, rather than like seeing progress just by, oh, I've sent this amazing V5 and I've sent this climb. What I really like about this gym is that it really encourages you to project and fall, and like just don't be afraid of like falling, like having these like embarrassing moments, because that's what makes you a better climber. And bonus points to this gym because it has a tension 2 board, which I didn't get to try because my session was quite short and it was quite busy as well. But yeah, if I had to rate the gym, obviously it might not look like I'm having the most fun falling off every move or like failing to do the quote unquote easier climbs. It was a great experience, like for sure getting humbled, also learning a lot about myself, like that I just shouldn't give up so easily. And that's one of the great things about climbing at a hard gym, rather than going to like, let's just use Allgate as an example. Like, I don't think I'm at the level where I should be flashing V5s or like doing it in like 2 tries. I feel like I'm still at that level where V5 is my projecting range. So Allgate is almost like a false sense of confidence compared to Sen climbing, which is just ridiculously hard. Anyways, on to my third session of the week. I went to Vauxhall East. First thing that I noted was the exterior was quite daunting. It was like, oh, I don't know about this. But anyways, the gym itself is quite big, and you might notice the island, like this section of the climbing, it's sort of like in a divot or like a big hole. Like you see the matting for the upper section, And like it's really funny because like every time you want to climb in the island, you kind of have to do like a little hop down. But anyways, yeah, I will definitely be going back to sand climbing. You know, I believe they're setting up a spray wall on one of the angles, which I think would be quite nice because sand climbing have a great range of holds. But yeah, moving on to Vauxhall East. Sometimes in a session, I know I should be doing more climbs and, you know, exploring a wider range of climbs. But this V5 black really just called my name. Like the big pinches, it looked quite aesthetic against like the backdrop of the wall as well. And it was like something that is sort of in my style, but also forces me to push, you know, like pushing my style, I should say. So you get these two decent pinches, making sure you use like the smaller section so you can engage your thumb. You're standing on the volume, which is like really good. But yeah, this hold is really hard to like just manage the swing. So on my, I think, flash attempt or second attempt, I did like a compression like that. But I don't know, I was stuck in between two minds of doing this like crazy toe hook release, and you see that I'm taking a big fall, of like trying to hold that really big swing or holding it in like this. And yeah, I wasn't taking too much rest in between tries, which I think is not the best idea because this climb was quite pumpy. But yeah, as you can see that I'm really just engaging my thumb to make it a pinch. And then yeah, this upper section isn't so bad. The crimp is quite desperate, but then yeah, the finish position is okay. Moving on, I was quite pumped, I'll be honest. So yeah, I couldn't jump into like some really hard things straight away. And on the topic of like trying new things and trying new holds, one of the climbs that I really wanted to try was this V4 pink. I saw this like really nice transition from like a pull into a push, and it's a really small box, or I thought it would be a really small box, and you see that I'm falling on my flash attempt. But yeah, one important thing about the moderate ranges like the V4s and the V3s, I want to be at a stage where I can confidently figure out a beta and stick to the beta and like send it. So here you can see I'm adjusting my beta slightly. Rather than pushing with both arms, I'm changing the angle of my hand, which allows me to move through the position much easier. So yeah, one massive thing that I've learned from watching like a lot of really strong climbers is the way you do easier climbs and the way you warm up. It translates instantly into the way you do harder climbs. Because obviously, if you're building really bad habits on V1s and V2s, you're going to be carrying those really bad habits into the like higher grades. And if your margin for error is so high on like the V1s and V2s, then there's no way that you can do the much harder climbs, which has almost no room for error. So yeah, practicing on V4s and V3s as well is really good to almost like, first of all, undo the really bad habits like lazy legs and like that sort of thing, but then also learning how to efficiently use techniques. And one thing that I noted about this gym was that it was quite technical. Like here you see there's a toe hook start, and yeah, even though people called it a toe hook, it was more like a complete like foot hook or like a jam, because like it was using like literally half of my right foot. And that was one thing that you sort of have to learn, like just by doing the move and falling. I did try this a couple times off camera, but then once I stopped the toe hook move, I was like, that's in my muscle memory, and I could just keep doing it over and over. But the problem with the upper section that I found was that the left foot that I'm standing on, one, it's quite bad and like slippery, but also it's blind. because the starting left hand is so like big. You see, like I'm trying to like look over to the side, so it was quite hard to like memorize where I was putting my foot and like where I was going right and where I was going wrong. But I do think this was a successful like wave, I should say, like a good number of attempts, because I'm learning the toe hook and then I'm learning like how to hold these holds. And I do think the top section is like much easier than the bottom, so I'm not too like upset I couldn't do the entire bottom. At this stage of the session, I was very pumped. So yeah, I was just waiting for people to leave this cave section. I just went on this V4 because I think it's like the only thing that I knew I could flash. Yeah, funny thing, when I was going to like leave, I didn't realize that they had a moon board down here and like a training ball. I only figured that out because I was going to go refill my water bottle. So anyways, on to the last session at Muro Climbing. This sort of feels like my second home, even though it is in Peckham, and I never actually lived in Peckham, but I did live like fairly close to it. And one thing I really like about this gym is like the aesthetics. I think it's just like a perfect looking gym. The range of holds are absolutely amazing. I think the white ones are like super holds, I think that's what they're called. But also, so for context, this gym has 2 arches. So this is the first arch, and it's like the commercial set boulder one. Funny thing, they don't have V tags, so you sort of just like climb what you want, I suppose. I suppose it is like quite noticeable like what the moderates are compared to the hard climbs. But yeah, that being said, there's also a second like arch, and I think that will be on the thumbnail of the video. It's like a massive spray wall with like 3 different angles of walls. So normally when I go to Muro, I always like skip on these like commercial boulders, and I go straight to the spray wall and I start like making my own boulders. But this set really, it looked really nice, and like I was able to flash most of it, like the things in my range at least. So yeah, I just gave it a couple tries. One boulder I really liked was this completely new thing, like a novelty that I've never had to do before, which is climbing on literal real rock, which I think is a great feature of this gym. And it also features in the spray wall, so really amazing. If I had to like give it a problem or like a negative, the boulders are set completely on vertical walls with like a slight change of angle. But yeah, there's not like any like power boulders. It's more like technical and dynamic, and like the sort of style that I think is almost like synonymous with Japanese rootsing. So I don't mind that, and I guess it is like sort of balanced out by how steep the spray walls are. But yeah, I would love to have these holds like properly set on like a 30-40 degrees wall. I think that would be quite fun. And it was so fun that I managed to willingly do the crimp line. Yes, it does have a pinch in the middle here. But yeah, I know I would like, on a normal day, I would never even dare to look at this sort of stuff. But it just looked quite nice, quite friendly. So I gave it a try, I flashed it. And then going outdoors, there was this amazing, I think it's completely real rock and maybe a bit of wood. That is something that I didn't get to try, but another like really good feature and a really big reason why I want to come back for sure. Now moving on to the main, I think this would be the main for most people who climb here, like the main section of the wall. This is the amazing spray wall. There's a mixture of volumes, macros, crimps, pockets, and even real rock. So yeah, I was slightly pumped, definitely for sure. And it was a very hot day. But anyways, excuses out the way. I still had a really good time, even though I couldn't like try my absolute hardest. I've climbed it, I think, once or twice before. So technically, this is a new gym, and I've already like set boulders. But I wanted to come here with a fresh mentality, just make new boulders, have fun, and like it's so easy to just make like anything you want really. And you may have seen the clip of like the different set boulders. I think there was a competition that I missed out on because I came in like the early afternoon, and I think it was going on the same day but in the evening. But yeah, I'll definitely come back, try the classics, I suppose, and like actually give it a better go. Because I'll be honest, I was having like 5 minute rest in between each climb or like each attempt because I was just completely dead after trying the commercial boulders, which obviously would never actually happen if I wasn't so eager. But yeah, this was like the recurring boulder of the session. It's a really nice like technical boulder, I think. And one thing for sure that I want to do is like set a boulder at my absolute limit, or get someone to set a boulder at my absolute limit. And I was on that wavelength, and so I was gonna set this like this move. It's not even a boulder. I could only establish and move off. I couldn't even do the first move that I intended. But what I wanna do is set a really hard couple climbs at Muro, so that I can use as like another way of tracking progress. Because unlike Warwick, where the board is quite like my style, this board is like completely my anti-style. So it's a really like nice way to measure my improvement. So here is the last climb and the last move that I managed to do slash fall off of. And yeah, I think it was a really good week for me. I did like tick off a couple V5s and like V4s, but since the nature of the week was so like jumping from gym to gym, I couldn't really like try hard or like really project anything for too long. So yeah, moving forwards, there won't be a video next week because I am on holiday in France. So I'm going to be doing almost like a combined video because I think I'll be gone for 2 weeks, which means I'll be combining the 2 weeks of clips into one, and that'll be posted on the following Monday, you could say. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for all the support, and yeah, enjoy your summer. Thank you.